Okay, folks, this was today's delivery from my mailman. A pen and pencil set I bought on eBay. And as you can see, the name is probably why I bought it. McKool. Now, at some point, I don't think he bought these both at the same time, because why would he tell the people that he wanted to have the pencil to write his name in italics, whereas the pen is vertical? So my thought is he bought the pen first, realized I need the pencil because there's things I want to erase. So he went back and he said, I want a pencil to match this pen, and he pointed to the wrong font, or he had the wrong technician there at the engraving place, and they not only did the name in a font that's slightly different, typeface it's slightly different, but you see how the Mick in the pen, the C with the line under it is at the bottom of the name, and on the pencil it's elevated to the top. Also, I really like the way the pencil has bigger serifs going on with it. Anyway, it made me think of Mike McKool, and also the pen nib made me think of Mike McKool, or who I imagine Mike McKool actually is. Mike McKool seems like he should be the cartoon character where a dog is playing the role of a private eye. And it's kind of a dumb dog, as dogs almost always are portrayed in cartoons. Rightly so. I'm a cat person, but cats are almost always, unless they're chasing birds, they're almost always smarter than the dogs. But Mike McKool is not the brightest light on the porch. And the pen nib is really surprisingly broad, which is kind of neat. Normally, there's enough iridium on the point of this pen to make a good 5 or 10 other pens happy, but they put a big old blob of ink here. So Mike McKool is a loud jokester. He's not quite Jackie Gleason, but he's a noisy private eye. He doesn't subtly watch the divorcee and the correspondent. He doesn't, he's just really noisy, which I think is kind of interesting. He wasn't a very good private eye, I don't think. Mike McKool. What a name. What a name. So, that's what I got today. And I will fill it up with ink, and I will write with it. This is almost exactly the kind of nib that I really don't like. But I feel, and I could easily replace the nib part of the pen and put a nice, fine, delicate nib in it, but I think Mike McKool needs to have his loud, broad, sort of moppy writing with his name. So he'd be sitting there in his what kind of car would Mike McKool have? It wouldn't be a Corvette. It wouldn't be nearly that sexy. It might be some sort of lesser brand car that pretends to have a snazziness to it. He'd be sitting there in his, whatever kind of car that is, and he'd be taking his notes. You know, the lady arrives at 8:30. And he'd look at his watch, and his watch would be maybe a Benris or a Bulova. You know, not an Omega, not for Mike McKool. That's too much money. But it would be something flashy looking. Maybe with 15 jewels in it, not 17 or 19 or 21. You know, he didn't need to synchronize his watch that much with other people because he didn't have other people. Now, here's why I don't like these pens, and I don't like them on Schaefer's. Schaefer has this problem where if this were plastic and this is metal, it really holds it snugly, the cap. But the metal on metal, it wants to slide off easily. So, hate that about these pens. It was not a well thought out plan. What is nice about this pen, though, is it does have the loud, softer, turning it upside down and writing with the back side of the pen. You do get a distinct difference in volume, but like the volume of a Victrola, you either have loud or soft. There's really it's either 11 or 0. You don't have anything in between. And so it's sort of neat for that reason. Mike McKool. And he had a couple of dents, a couple of times. Now this is probably what happened here. The cap fell off onto the floor, onto the ground, as he was taking his notes. Lady arrives, 8:30. Lady departs at 11:18. That's what he'd write in his little notebook with this pen, Mike McKool's pen. I mean, that might not even be his real name, but that was his attempt at pretending to be someone more interesting than he actually was. But he didn't want to disguise the name. It still is his cartoon name, Mike McKool. It's impossible. That can't be a real name. It's a cartoon name. See, this wants to fall right off. I don't like that. It really bothers me. Anyway, it's a keeper, even if it does bother me. I like the name. The name. It's in the name. The name is it. Thank you.